also just add, celebrating yourself, right? Celebrating yourself throughout the journey, right? I think lots of times, and it doesn't even have to be those big wins, like I mentioned before, right? Some of those little wins, but just say, like, I'm so proud of you. Like sometimes we kind of look for that outside validation from other people, or you win that award, and like those things, like we make such a big deal about. But what about, like I said, sometimes it's just getting out of bed, or just like accomplishing one small project, right? Or one small thing off your to-do list, right? Celebrate yourself. And I think even just having that conversation, sometimes we think, talking to ourselves is a little odd, right? But I think really, like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Like, and just saying that to ourselves, right? And just having that conversation with ourselves, even further than, I'm proud of you, but like you overcame this. You came from this to this. And, so I think really celebrating ourselves also is important.
I feel like, give it up for that. Do a little Snoop Dogg. I'd like to thank me in the morning, right? I'm going to expound on that. When you have confidence and esteem, because Dr. Waffiyah actually highlighted that confidence and esteem are two different things for Tiffany. I thought for the longest time that, I'm a confident person or what have you. I didn't know that confidence was separate from esteem. So who understands that they have high esteem for themselves? Who understands that? Okay. Who understands that they're a confident person? Okay. I love that y'all are confident. Yes.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
It took me having to go to like therapy though to understand the difference. Not regular therapy, like regular therapy in with group therapy. The group therapy was a self-esteem based.
I love that. So you were able to garner your self-esteem from the community around you.
I wasn't able to figure out which part of my self-esteem was fractured because I thought I feel esteemed. I feel great. I feel great about myself in comparison to other people. But smaller parts of my self-esteem, like really from childhood, were kind of skewed. So I felt good about my adult self, but I didn't understand my child self that was kind of confused, I guess.
Wow. I love it. Thank you for that feedback. Who in here understands their child self? Who can say that they can connect with their child self? Oh, the men are just a couple of y'all are understanding the child inside of you. I would say the child inside of you is the person who you would essentially get your esteem from, because that person is, imagine yourself at 5 years old and all you've become in your life. You may have had a bigger dream, but you're something now. You are absolutely something now because we're all sitting in this room. So connecting with that 5-year-old self that may have wanted to be like the guy they saw or what have you, and you've become maybe better than the guy you saw. That is where your esteem lies. I would say confidence comes from just you looking in the mirror, hopping out the bed, turning your swag on. It's literally, I'm a hip hop head, so and Soulja Boy's not hip hop, but just to make that clear. But making sure that you look good, you smell good, you feel good. That's confidence. Esteem is something very deeply rooted, like the sister just said. So just wanted to point those things out. And so I think we're going to go ahead and take questions if that's okay. I'm going to come around with the microphone so that the camera can pick you up. And say your name. And what's your name back here, please?
Akua.
Akua, I love that. It's a beautiful name. It means something in Twi.
It means born on Wednesday in Ghana, but it means a goddess in politician.
I love that. And I love that I know what Twi. Okay. And what's your name, please?
Waffiyah.
I love that too. Yeah.
So that's
what does
the
it
Islamic
mean?
name, and it means the trusting one. Assalamu alaikum, sister. So, I'm sorry, I don't want to get this out of the way.
No, I love that.
We have a community.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Waffiyah Peace, and I'm the owner of Sidekick Journaling Company. It's not a question, it's a statement. Dr. Waffiyah. I love your name because we kind of like bounce off
Yeah.
Waffiyah. You love
Yeah.
kind of bounce off. So I was like, oh, we got a WA. But I wanted to touch base on two things that you said. First is prioritizing our rest. I feel like coming from a single parent household, my mom, she was always the one to wake up first. And I always saw her waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and always keeping a busy schedule. But I feel like, in a sense, seeing my mom prioritizing and being the head of the household, I took on what she was doing, and now I don't know what it's like to rest. At 27, though, I take as many naps as I have to. I will fall asleep in my car if I have to, but I gotta get a safe space. I want to wake up and I'm on the ground somewhere. The car is going and I'm on the ground.
No tires.
Right. But I do want to acknowledge that you are telling someone at 27, it's okay to rest. And I feel like society, even the world that we live in, is so fast paced that they're like, well, what do they say?
Grind.
It's one the rich you don't sleep until you're rich. It's not like that.
Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. And I think that's so silly to me because you'll die for real. And you don't get rest. Like it's so stupid. Like don't go to that.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you saying like rest is so essential to just your mental and just your overall well-being. And secondly, being a child, I love tapping into my 5-year-old self. She's who brought me back to where I am now because 4 years ago I was gone. I think it was just COVID and just being overachieving. I was in undergrad, I was graduating from Hampton University, I was on a dean's list. I'm like, I'm that girl, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but not realizing that I was detaching from myself. Until one night I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I just saw a whole visual of my 5-year-old self. And she's like, girl, we are who we thought we were going to be, but I need you to chill out. And I had to tap back into my 5-year-old self. And I love to play a lot, but I knew that something was wrong when I started to see that shift in myself, where everything was so serious for me. So I also want to thank you for saying it's okay to be a child. And I know every day I wake up and I listen to like a Disney Channel song. I'm like, oh, but yeah, so I just wanted to thank you for just letting, well, I ain't got no hair, but allowing me to let my little curls, my coils down. But yes, I want to thank you for that. Thank you so much, Iyana. Thank you too for all your insight. I appreciate you both. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Someone else had a question and go to this. And I wanted to also speak to that grind culture, right? Grind culture is something that we should probably X out. I'm not grinding, I'm working toward my dreams, but I'm not going to work myself into a stupor. You heard that I went to the Olympics. Planning and producing that for 8 people, I didn't get to grieve my grandfather's death. He had passed away a day before I got the call for the Olympics. And so, we buried him a day before I got the call. And so not having that time to grieve and then just grinding it out, I became like a version of myself that I never want to be again. Like angry because I'm tired and I'm drinking too much because I'm outside and all these events and all this. It's bad on the brain and the biochemical system. And my partner hated me for that time frame. And I'm just happy that he stuck around because like everybody has phases, but it really messed with the overall me and my aura. Even like babies were crying when like, I'm like, hey baby. And normally babies are like giggly and I'm like, it's me. I'm not coming outside for 5 months. And that's exactly what I did. I rested. And I took minimal calls, I took minimal Zooms. Like I had to keep running the business, but everything was minimalized to a T. So I wanted to speak to that grind culture. Yeah.
Can I just add, so I know Dr. Waffiyah also mentioned like the nap ministry. So the book Rest is Resistance, it's a really great book. And I was gonna also just add that, with that idea of like kind of not following that idea of the grind culture, I think it's important to just kind of lead by example, right? And don't be afraid to stand out from the pack, right? Of everybody else doing that. And for me, that's what I do, right? Like, how do I have a wellness business? I mean, I understand that it's okay not to be okay, right? But how do I have a wellness business and I'm not even well, right? So that doesn't make sense. So I'm always making sure that I'm leading by example. But then also it's just a whole lot of unlearning, relearning, and things of that sort. So going through that process.
Thank you for that.
Kizzy, How do you measure the progress of your work to make informed decisions on the future? So, because like you have a service-based business, and you know, if you're like selling a product, if you count, I've sold 10 bottles of water today. How do you measure the progress that you can make sure that you're doing what you should be doing? Yeah.
So as a person who does multiple things, I will start with one of the roles that I play. I am not play, but one of the roles that I actually provide is I call myself the youth wellness whisperer. And so how I measure impact is the feedback from the students that I'm serving, right? And so for me, I look at how they came in, right? And how they're developing while we're still in session, and then where they land upon graduation. And so for me, a win is someone who comes in and they're like shy and introverted, and then they find their voice. That's success. If I find a youth that is sad, and then they start smiling, they access joy, that's success. You know what I mean? So I measure it that way, right? And so, I also know that when you work with youth, you're planting seeds. So I may not necessarily see the fruit of my labor, and I'm okay with that also. So I think with youth, they're kind of tricky, but I do take those things into consideration. A smile, finding your voice, right? I'll give you an example real quick. We had a cultural day at the school. And so prior to, I run groups around leadership, and I had them present and get in front and talk and own their voice. And so they fight me tooth and nail. Dr. Waffiyah, why we gotta do this? So then they had to do a cultural presentation, and they deferred to me. I was in the back of the room, and one of the young men, he came to me, he said, Dr. Waffiyah, can I have a hug? And I said, sure. He said, I'm getting ready to go up and present. He got up there and killed it. But it wasn't that he just killed it was the success, but it was also that he asked and requested a hug. And the one young lady who was an introvert, her voice was so small. Good morning, Dr. Waffiyah. Right, you know, and so she got up in front of everyone, and she's like, and this is my culture. I'm from Trinidad. I said, oh, okay, sis. And then she got off the stage. She was like, it wasn't perfect. And I said, baby, it's not about perfection. It's about purpose. And who can be you but you? Nobody else can be you. So it's those little things, those measurements of success for me.
I think that's a great question because, I mean, obviously mental health is something that we cannot see, right? And I think it also is the responsibility of the person to, I guess the person impacted to essentially speak up and, you know, or share and be honest, right? And, you know, what they've gained and what they haven't gained, you know, what they still need support with. But I also agree with surveys. So I do workshops and training. So I think surveys after a workshop, but I think even like if I do a one-time workshop, seeing in the beginning where maybe everyone is quiet or not so, you know, I don't want to say not so engaged, but essentially kind of like, for lack of better words, not so engaged. But then towards the end of the session, everyone's talking or sharing, you know, being vulnerable and things of that sort. I think that's helpful. But I also think that it's always important to, when I'm working with some clients, is like having more than just that one-time workshop, right? So we can actually look at long-term, you know, impact essentially, right? But I think surveys are a good start. But I think even when I'm working with certain people, just seeing that they are more open to accessing resources, you know, I think that's a win as well too, or more open to talking about their mental health. So things like that are impact.
Can I add another piece to it too? I measured also by relationships, right? And so if you're doing a really good job, they'll tag someone else in, refer you, and vouch for you.
Yes.
And so that's feedback.
Yes.
And so when you're building relationships and you're expanding your network, oh, that's information.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's success.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at about 6:50. My camera guys will go at 7. So we're gonna do a church roundup. 2 minutes, please. Okay.
I'm gonna need the microphone. So I just wanted to say, I've been a solopreneur for I want to say 11 years. I just stopped working for the East Orange Board of Education as a per diem substitute. So when you, Dr. Waffiyah, when you were working for DIFAS and you came up with this idea to start an organization to help, how did you separate your role of help from being at DIFAS to starting something on your own? Like your own venture, did you feel like a separation anxiety from being inspired at that place and not maybe necessarily being able to do it there?
No.
Okay.
So I've always known when I started DCP&P, I knew that it was just, I was passing by. I knew I wasn't going to retire there. I was going there to get my master's degree and to get some social work experience. So for me, it was spiritual, like I had to be released because I love people, I love families. So for me, it wasn't that. But when I really knew that I had to separate is because my imagination started going. I started creating these workshops and I would present them to the powers that be and they loved it. But I learned somewhere in my contract that whatever you create when you're under the state, it's theirs. Oh, baby. That will be a big time. And so I LLC'd up. And so I started to learn that this is all business, right? Even though we're helping people, there's a business side that's happening. And I had to protect myself. So I am a firm believer in self-preservation. And so I LLC'd up.
Thank you. And also, Iyana, I just wanted to say you mentioned a journal. I think you need to hit them up because you can be a brand ambassador for them. You can be able to like share those things with people. You know, we would love that. I'm the people. We would appreciate it. You know, I'm a content creator as well, so I kind of understand how it is like just being like, hey, this is what I do. This is the community that I have, and I want to share the impact that I felt from your product. Would you send me 50 planners for the next event in July?
True. And shameless plug, I appreciate that. That's an idea as well. Shameless plug, I got a journal. I've created a wellness journal as well. So it's based around the 8 dimensions of wellness. So really giving us an opportunity because mental health wellness is multi-dimensional. So it's not just the mind, but body, spirit, and just your environment, finances, all these different things. So it centers all those different things. So prompts and blank spaces and all those things. But that's a great idea too.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Hello, Barry. And I guess my question of the night. So I'm somebody who's like kind of somewhat fresh out of college, and I want to deal with the feeling of being content. Like, how do you deal with the feeling of being content, especially when you own a business? Like, I respect around culture. You know, I like being productive, being around food. So like, the moments where I feel like I'm stagnant, it's an odd feeling. So like, how do you feel, or how do you deal with that feeling?
I can jump in. There's a quote from Iyana who says, where you are is where you need to be. And when you're ready, you'll leave.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves about where we want to be, where we're trying to go. And the thing is, be where your feet are planted.
Yeah.
Right? Find contentment with this space right now. And I say that because sometimes we're in our own personal winter and it's a lot going like crazy. We gotta be chaotic, but there's even lessons and there's even gifts in that. And so learn how to be in your season. And I think that's really, really important. And I think also worthiness. We don't talk about worthiness enough. And so like underneath the grind, underneath not being content, it's like, I'm just worthy. Like I don't have to get another degree, another job, another Louis Vuitton bag. What is it that you guys like? Another car, another motorcycle, another girl, another man, whatever it is, like you don't need, you understand what I'm saying? Like you're just worthy. What if we just rested in our worthiness? Like in worthiness meaning like, I'm amazing simply because I breathe and I exist. And I don't have to do anything else but just like breathe. Like really be with that. And because there are some people that, you know, breath is a privilege. There are some people that right now have transitioned. right? And so the contentment can just be, I exist. Start there.
Okay. Well, those are really great questions and answers, and this was a really, really impactful panel. Everyone give them one more. I want to just let you all know you are the first. This is an inaugural kickoff of this panel series. We're going to be hosting these in and around Newark. Most of the time we'll be here at Equal Space, 550 or maybe 89. But we really want to destigmatize mental health, and I feel that for Chiffani's mission, our mission is to uplift citizens domestically and globally through impacting the arts, and that's always been the mission since 2008. And so I think that mental health and art and business go together like peaches and cobbler. And I think that it's necessary for us to see ourselves in these seats. And if you would like to see anyone that you know, mental health practitioner, a musician who is very steeped in mental health wellness, an artist that you may know, I'd love to interview them. Chiffani PR is here for them to elevate their platforms. We're going to do business together because we're community and we're within community. And if you're interested in sharing your story, definitely reach out. Please do scan the QR code on the screen. I want you all to take a survey. The survey is going to be very helpful for not only demographics, but for the topics that we talk about, because a lot of times folks have never been to therapy. That is a complete taboo. Folks have never been to talk with someone who's a mental health practitioner. And so my goal is to make sure that folks know that these resources are available. If you have insurance through the state or insurance at all, we have free resources all throughout the city. You can always go and speak with someone. And these two young women are here for you specifically. They're within your community. They're within arm's reach right now. So if you want to schedule a consultation or something and just maybe have a chat, maybe just to kind of sort out what's on your mind if you're unsure about going to therapy or venturing into a new modality for mental health wellness. I encourage you to use the 444 method that we all did together. And I hope to see you all next time. And also, it is Small Business Week, so we have more events happening throughout the city this weekend. We just got done with the fair over at 89, so really excited to see you all again this week. And if I don't see you then I hope to see you next time around. And Dr. Waffiyah?
Yes, I have a shameless plug as well. I co-authored a book. It's titled Her, Healed, Empowered, and Resilient. I'd love for you all to purchase it. It's now in pre-order status, and it'll be available on Amazon as of June 28th.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's
Her, Healed,